Okay, folks, finally, after a long break, an update on the gearbox. Basically, I've been waiting for a few parts, and then there's some other problems which I'll tell you about in a minute, but it's delayed me. But anyway, great news. So I got some parts back from my local engineers, my local machine shop, and they're fantastic. So the first thing they've done is I had these two bushes. That's the original bush that comes out for the kickstart, but it's not the right diameter. So what they did was this is another bush which is the correct diameter for the kickstart, but the outer diameter was too big. So they've machined that down, so that will now go in there. Well, from the other way, that way up, that way in for the kickstart bush. So that's great. Then they also machined me a little mushroom sort of dome plug, and that's going to go where and I'll put that in there where it would be the speedo drive would come out, but otherwise we've just got a big hole. So that's great. They've done that. Then at the same time, what I asked them to do was cut a little groove. This is my oil tap, which I think is from the factory. I'm not sure. You know, you can turn the oil off. It stops it wet something. But the trouble is that it leaked. So what I got them to do was cut a little groove in the bottom there and put a little O-ring seal in. So hopefully, because it just drips from the bottom of the tap. So that's fantastic. I think it was an original fitment. Of course, when I bought the bike, a few years before I bought it, the engine had sort of partially seized because the owner had forgotten to turn the tap on. You know, that's always the downside of that. Then the machine shop done a fantastic job. This is my bigger sprocket for the front drive on the in the primary chain case. So they've cut the old sprocket off, and then this is a new sprocket I bought, and they've drilled out the middle. And then, although I wasn't expecting them to do, they've actually fitted it for me and welded it on. So that is it's fantastic, because I thought they were just going to machine it and then I would fit it and weld it, but they've done all that for me. And they've done all that for me for £120, which is amazing, you know. So I'm really, really happy with all that work. Then at the same time, these are now the correct studs, well, I believe so, to fit the outer cover on the actual gearbox, because I couldn't do that before because I had the wrong studs, but I think these are now the right studs. So I can finally get on. Now we've got this bush and so on, I can actually put the gearbox together. And finally, I've got some silver steel rod. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but so there's the clutch push rod, but because this is an earlier model, I think the clutch push rod needs to be just that bit longer. So I've bought this silver steel rod just off eBay or somewhere, I think, and then I've got to work out the actual correct length for it, which I might have to wait till the clutch is on, I'm not sure. But then I'll just cut it down to the right length, and then I will sort of case harden it by heating it, getting it red hot, I think, and I'll check on what I need to do. I think it's red hot, and then let it cool down just to case harden the ends. So we're all ready now to actually get on and do the final assembly on the gearbox, which is great, and then we can get the gearbox back in the bike and so on. But silly things happened is that, as you may know, I was a drama teacher, and I've always been involved in theatre and drama, and I was doing a small part in a play that we're putting on in a month or so, and then the lead guy has dropped out, and so I've been recast as the lead. I'm just a little bit too old to play the lead, which I wasn't cast as in the first place, but needs must. So I'm doing it, and I'm joining it, but it's a huge part and a huge amount of lines to learn, and the lines don't go in like they used to. I used to pick up a book, read it, I know the lines, but now they won't go in. So I am having to devote an inordinate amount of time to learning lines, because of course the last thing I want to do is have extreme stage fright on the first night, thinking I don't know my lines. I mean, I love stage fright as it is, I can assure you, But as long as I've got some security on my lines, I'll be okay. But I need to know those lines backwards. And so what I'm saying is I'm spending an awful lot of time doing that, and so less time. When I've got a bit of free time, I have to do my lines rather than the bike. But there we go. Such is life. I mean, I'm sure I enjoy doing the part and that, but it's one of those things. Life gets in the way, unexpected. There we go. Just after I learned the other part I was doing, which is now someone else is doing, and now I've got this huge part to learn in a fairly short space of time, because the play's on in about a month, so 6 weeks. So yeah. Anyway, hopefully I'll find the odd hour or so to come down, and now I've got all the parts, we should be able to put at least finish reassembling the gearbox.